Hello Collective, this is Jan from Artemis Oracle. Today is June 1st and I want to do just a reading with my music cards. Just see what song will be the theme. I think it's like a love theme. Or just a general thing. Let's see what comes out. I hope you're all doing well and that June 1st, which is today, is off to a good start. I hope everyone's choosing to make June a good month for themselves as best as we can. I mean, of course, there's going to be things that come up that are really going to test us, our patience, our tolerance. So, oh, that's so funny. 2 cards came out, right? But I was going to put it back, but then I was like, no, when I saw these 2 cards came out together, Silence by Marshmallow and Khalid, and then Love Your Voice by Johnny. It's interesting because silence is indicating there's no talking, but that I love your voice. So there may be somebody who's missing you, missing being in contact with you, missing talking to you. Wow, look at the bottom of the deck, By Myself by Linkin Park. That's so interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, so this person, you and this person are currently not talking. I didn't know that was going to come out, so I wasn't trying to make this like a no contact reading, but it's looking like that. Okay, let's see what could be going on between you and this person that you are in no contact with. I apologize if my chair is making some sounds. It's creaking. Let's see what comes out. What is going on with the collective in a no contact situation? What is going on with the collective in a no contact situation? That card caught. What is going on with the collective in a no contact situation? Card flipped. Okay. This one. Bottom we have bitterness, resentment, anger, hurtful words. So maybe some of you were gotten into some type of argument. Somebody said something hurtful and that's why you're currently not talking. I really hate that. My chair is making all this noise. Jeez. Sorry. This is really bothering me. So we have releasing, letting go, moving on, walking away. I thought it said waiting again. Elusive, dishonesty, deception, and trickery, and confusion. Uncertain, unclear, unsure. Bitterness. I feel like somebody is, like with the releasing and elusive, I feel like somebody wants to let go of the situation because they believe there's some type of deception going on. There's some dishonesty. And since there is some dishonesty, maybe this is bringing some confusion, uncertainty to the person. And they feel like the best option to, to prevent themselves from becoming bitter. Because sometimes when we keep ourselves in situations that aren't, where we don't know where we stand. We don't know what the other person's feeling, what the other person wants. Where the relationship is heading, and then I don't know why I even said that. Sometimes you can have this conversation about where the relationship is going, and then you kind of let the person know that you're not happy with the way things are, and you don't see a future being possible because just based off the current trajectory, like how things have been going, and if you're seeing a pattern, like you're not really seeing anything clear or like a clear path ahead with the confusion card. I hope I showed the confusion card. Maybe there was a conversation where you feel like whatever's going on, wherever this is heading, whatever was told to you in the beginning is now, you're like thinking maybe this person wasn't being honest with me about what they were saying. Maybe they were just saying what they thought I wanted to hear. So instead of being confused and wanting to end up in this state of bitterness or becoming bitter or releasing the bitterness that you probably are experiencing, you just feel like the best thing to do is just to release the situation, let it be what it is, and just take yourself, what they say, ABC your way out of it or something. But right now, like the bitterness, you could be a divine feminine, or you were dealing with a divine feminine, yin feminine energy. So I don't know if a divine feminine would cause any type of confusion, Maybe you thought the person was the divine feminine, but they just showed themselves to be someone who's very bitter, who has a lot of baggage, and has a lot of healing to do in order to become this beautiful, balanced, feminine energy that the divine feminine energy represents, maybe somebody's crown slipped, maybe the divine feminine is bitter because she put in some effort in a situation and it didn't reap any results that were worth staying, But the underneath is nourish. It's about taking care of yourself, taking care of what you need, focusing on what is best for yourself, and, just nourishing your own soul, taking care of yourself, being around people who match your frequency, who don't drain you, who don't confuse you in any way. I love your voice. Okay, but why is this the silence and love your voice and by myself? I need to know the lyrics. Hold on. Okay, I had to listen to the by myself. Like the thing that stands out to me about this song, it says, do I trust someone and get fooled by phoniness, or do I trust nobody and live in loneliness? Because I can't hold on when I'm stretched so thin. I make the right moves, but I'm lost within. I put on my daily facade, but then I just end up getting hurt again by myself. So it's not about being alone. It's about you kind of falling into this trap of deciding, should I risk trusting somebody and with the possibility of getting hurt? Or should I just not trust anybody and just be alone, but then face the possibility of being lonely, face loneliness, So maybe that's where the confusion is stemming from, because you don't I could really relate to that, because it's really hard to trust people, especially from past experiences I've had where people I felt like people were not being completely honest with me. So, people lied or were doing things behind my back, so I can understand that, people weren't being genuine. They were just saying what they thought I wanted to hear rather than being authentic and just allowing me to decide whether I wanted to deal with them or not, instead of putting on this facade of who they thought I wanted them to be rather than being who they actually were, playing games, being deceptive, lying, and, wasting my time, to a certain extent, because, I also chose to waste my time with them, but with silence, I found peace in the silence. I found peace in your violence. You show me there's no point in trying. I'm at one, and gotta listen to that song too. Hold on. Yeah, the part of the song he says, I found peace in your violence. Can't tell me there's no point in trying. I'm at one, and I've been quiet for too long. I found peace in your violence. Can't tell me there's no point in trying. I'm at one, and I've been silent for too long. So yeah, and that I love your voice. This could be you. You're like deciding whether or not you're better off being single. Like, you're better off not even trying. That you find peace being alone. You find peace in not being or dealing with anything that causes you stress. If anything, it's like you've tolerated so much, so it's allowed you to build up this, I guess, this tolerance towards this type of behavior. However, it's like you got to choose. Am I going to allow myself to continue getting hurt, or am I going to just take myself out of the arena and just be alone? I think that the releasing, it's like it's like you have this idea that in any situation, and I don't like saying I don't want to project, because everybody's situation is different. So I'm going to say me. You may be feeling like in the past situations you were bitter, but you've learned that you have to put yourself first. You had to put yourself first. You had to put your needs, your desires, self-care, self-worth first. You know, in past situations, you may have been distracted by putting yourself first. You may have gotten into relationships and they were in some way, and I was gonna say thinking, and then the word thinking is there. You got yourself you may have been in relationships where you put a lot of effort, energy, and attention towards the other person, but in the end, you ultimately were neglecting yourself. So you were distracting yourself with things, thoughts that really were not conducive to you being the divine feminine. So, and let's just say even the divine masculine, you know, sometimes we as people, we have this idea of what we want, and when we think someone is showing us what we want, sometimes we kind of lose ourselves in the illusion, the fantasy, you know, and we kind of put ourselves in the back burner because we're trying so hard to keep what we think is good for us. But then ultimately, we end up neglecting ourselves. So you're learning that, you know, being by yourself may not mean having to be, you know, like cut off love completely, but maybe you're just taking a break from it, but you have to take care of yourself, nourish yourself, make sure that you're meeting your own needs and you're not neglecting them. You need to find that balance so that when you're in a dynamic, in a relationship dynamic, you're not going to be sacrificing yourself to the point where you end up feeling drained and, you know, you become bitter towards the person, even though you're kind of doing it to yourself. You're putting so much attention on this person, but you're neglecting yourself, you know? So it's about being consciously aware of where you're putting your attention, and, you know, avoid being bitter by making sure that you're taking care of yourself. You're putting yourself first, you know? I feel like that's what this reading is saying, you know? In the past, you may have been giving in. You may have overextended yourself, made yourself overly available. You probably put everybody else's needs ahead of your own, and you neglected yourself in the process. Yeah. That's just based off the Silence, Love Your Voice, and By Myself songs. So I hope this reading was helpful in some way. If it was, please like, share, and subscribe to Artemis Oracle. My name is Tan. I am your reader, and I'm wishing you a great day or evening ahead. Bye.